Welcome to the Pretty Powerful Podcast, where powerful women are interviewed every week to share real inspiring stories and incredible insight to help women or anyone break the barriers, be a part of innovation, shatter the glass ceiling, and dominate to the top of their sport, industry, or life's mission. Join us as we celebrate exceptional women and step into our power. And now, here's your host, Angela Gennari.
Hello, welcome to the Pretty Powerful Podcast. My name is Angela Gennari, and today we are here with Limor Bergman Gross. How are you, Limor?
I'm good. How are you, Angela?
I am doing very well. And you are in Israel?
Yeah, that's correct.
Beautiful. Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm going to introduce Limor because she has a really interesting background too. So Limor Bergman Gross is a former director of engineering at DigitalOcean with 20 years of experience in the tech industry. She is now an executive coach for women in tech leadership that wants to achieve more through results-oriented coaching processes. She works with say Limor enabled them to continuously tear down ceilings by challenging them to think bigger. They also say she opened their eyes to a new way of contributing to their careers. Limor loves talking about career progression in the tech industry. And how to build your brand in the company and externally. So this is exciting because we don't have many people in the tech industry on the show. And I would just love that you are not just, you have a great background in tech, but also you are now coaching women as well. So let's talk a little bit about that. What made you want to get into tech?
Being practical, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Nothing fancy or romantic. I mean, I was always good at STEM.
Oh, yeah.
It was my strong suit. Math, physics, chemistry, it came kind of easy to me. Relative to, at high school, I wasn't really that much fascinated with language arts and more humane related fields. And I said, okay, what can I do in life?
Right.
And I'm a very practical person. So I said, okay, computer science makes sense.
Yeah.
It fits my skills and you can make good money. So that's what I decided to do.
Okay. And then you were a director of engineering. Is it rare to have women in that role? Because I know here you may not see as many women in technology and engineering. So in Israel, is that unusual?
I say it's not unusual, but we don't see many women at leadership roles. And the more you get up the ladder, you see fewer and fewer women at the top. In Israel, in the US, worldwide. There are a lot of reports about it. So definitely we see less. And throughout my career, I was always almost the only woman in the room. And I was used to work predominantly with men.
Okay. So as a director of engineering, did that being a woman in that role, did that help or hurt you, do you believe, when you're dealing with, the only woman in the room? Do you think we have set it up to be a detriment or an attribute or an asset to?
I think it's both. So on one side, it wasn't easy for me to get there. I had to fight in order to get to where I got. There were a lot of biases, along the way. Again, not necessarily, I'm not saying that people are mean, but we have a lot of biases, all of us. And women have biases against them, when it comes to tech and when it comes to getting to leadership roles. On the other hand, I brought a different perspective. I brought a lot of emotional intelligence, a lot of communication skills that were lacking, a very mature and egoless attitude that was appreciated.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I would agree. In all leadership roles, I think that we bring a lot to the table, and just in terms of our ability to be empathetic and our ability to have open communication and transparency and authenticity. I think that's what we bring to the table most.
Yes, absolutely.
So now you're helping women to build their own brand and to develop their own career path. So, what do you think we can do to help women kind of, especially in STEM? What can we be teaching? How can we be guiding our daughters and the younger generations coming into the workforce?
I think it first showing them role models that yes, there are women that are very successful,
Mm-hmm.
and opening their minds to possibilities, to what is attainable for them, basically everything that they wish,
Mm-hmm.
opening their minds and helping them see, think differently. Like for example, I bought my daughter the book Grit
Oh
by
yeah.
Angela Duckworth. So those are kind of the things that we need to help our daughters. By the way,
Mm-hmm.
also our sons,
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
see that basically it's so much depends on them, not just about their strength and their skills and how well they do in school. It's their mindset, it's their attitude to failure, and how
Mm-hmm.
resilient they are and how much they are willing to do the work, and let them fail a little bit. This is
Yeah.
very important. You know, I had this week 2 women that I have coached. They told me they never failed and they never got no as an answer.
Wow.
And on one hand, you would say, wow, that's great, right?
Yeah.
But it's not. And I told them, well, I think you need to experience that because that's part of life.
Yeah, it really is. And it teaches you, it builds character. It builds character, it builds resilience, it builds a lot that you're going to use later on in life when you do hit challenges. You're going to want to have those skills.
Definitely.
Yeah. So we talk a lot about diversity and inclusion. So how can companies build a more inclusive culture?
That's a great question. I think, first of all, it started at the top. They need
Mm-hmm.
to make an intentional effort to
Mm-hmm.
have a diverse C-suite. And diverse, it's not by just gender diversity. It's race.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it goes all the way. Not just the white man club.
Yeah.
So show that you mean it and start being intentional about having diverse C-suite. And then it trickles down from that on, just making a deliberate effort, not just saying, not just by words, by actions. Take
Right.
actions, show that you care, build empathy towards everything in the company, how you lead, how you communicate, how you treat people.
So many people say that they're building a, DEI, and program in their company, and for some reason it just doesn't really translate into anything more than maybe one or two individuals, but they're not really looking at what diversity means and how to incorporate that into their culture, because it's not just about checking a box and putting a person in a position. It's about allowing their voice and how they impact the organization to really show through in terms of what they bring to the table. Because one thing that I will tell you is, in all of my work with DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, it really does make a difference when the voices are actually heard and they're not just given a certain set of protocols to follow that may be outside of their own norm.
Yeah. And it's about, not being uh, not accepting microaggressions and
Mm-hmm.
inappropriate behavior,
Right.
even if it's done unintentionally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I cannot tell you how many times that people didn't speak up nicely to me, that maybe they said something sarcastic in
Mm-hmm.
meetings. And luckily, I have enough self-confidence that I knew how to deal with it.
Right.
But if you tolerate this kind of behavior, you're basically saying, I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. So as you're coaching women, what skills do you feel like are most essential in the workplace as they're going into, whether it's STEM or just leadership positions? What traits do you try to bring out in them, or do you feel are most important?
I think confidence,
Mm-hmm.
confidence and self-love and appreciation, that's the basic.
Yeah.
From that, it all begins. You have to believe in yourself and love yourself and feel you deserve more.
Yeah, that's true, because we do tend to undersell ourselves, and then we won't ask for everything that we need. We'll ask, or everything that we want. We'll ask for just the bare minimum of what we need. So, and
Yeah.
you'll look at, well, I need X amount of dollars in salary, or I need, this much time off, and you'll focus on just those things that you have to have, and you're not looking at the bigger picture of what is fair and equitable in that role.
Yeah, and I think the next step, once you build some confidence and you want to achieve more, it's about opening your mindset to possibilities. Because a lot of times we look at things only one way. We're very fixed in our mindset of what is attainable for us. Oh, I'm not a manager yet, so I cannot take initiatives. I cannot speak. I cannot do X, Y, Z. And when I allow those women in their mind to see other possibilities, to see what they can do, then they start take action. And they show up dramatically differently as leaders.
Yeah. So is that your recommendation on getting a promotion? Like, if somebody is looking to get a promotion at work, what would you suggest that they do? What steps should they take?
Yeah. So my opinion about promotion, you are promoted when you already basically execute at the next level. So it will be natural to ask and get a promotion when your manager and other stakeholders already see you capable. They get a confidence that you can operate at the next level, which means that you need to start with the mindset, as I mentioned, to think as yourself as I am already there. And what would me at that position do? And I know it's kind of, sometimes it sounds weird, like, okay, but I'm not there, right? I don't have the title, but there's so much you can do without the title. One of the books I love and I always keep recommending is Robin Sharma, The Leader Who Had No Title. It is an incredible book. And it opens up your mind to possibilities, no matter what your role is. It doesn't matter. You can be an intern and take initiative. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, that is, I'm a big believer in reading a lot of books. I read a lot of books and just try to keep myself on top of my game. And I think if you're not out there improving yourself on a constant basis, you're going to really struggle with moving up the corporate ladder, or, growing personally and professionally. And I think that just the more you are taking in that is positive, uplifting, there's just so much value to that. And when you were talking about doing things outside of your role that is at the next level, one of my other podcast guests had talked about work in the position that you want, not the position you have. So, if you are middle management and you want to get to executive leadership, start taking on roles that involve or start doing tasks and initiatives that involve the vision and the growth of the company, not just managing tasks.
Absolutely. Take initiatives. Leadership is always needed and always welcomed.
Yes.
When you solve problems no one else is solving, when you're willing to roll your sleeves and do the work, you will be appreciated. Obviously, you need also that people will know what you're doing, not just do it quietly, but initiatives will always be appreciated.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and I think that there's so many people that will focus on the problems, and those are the people who are generally not going to be promoted. If you're coming to leadership with problem after problem after problem and complaint, and there's always something that's going wrong, you're going to start the leader's going to start shutting you out. But if you're coming with solutions and you're looking to problem solve, like, I don't even care if it's not the right solution. It just tells me that you're thinking through it, right? And so thinking through it is way better than just, acknowledging that there's an issue. If you're acknowledging an issue and then saying, but I have a solution, even if the solution is not going to work, at least it's a solution. At least it's something besides a complaint. And I tend to you tend to become dismissive as a leader of people who are just complaining, because you just look at them as they're just complainers, right? Like, you start attributing the complaints to their character or their personality or just who they are. And if you look at somebody who's a problem solver, that person who gets noticed. The person who is out there coming up with solutions and pushing initiatives and saying, I think we can make this better. Those are the ones who get noticed by leadership.
Absolutely.
So you talk a little bit about remote work and in what you do. So how can we motivate remote teams? Because as so many teams are now hybrid or remote, like, I think coming out of the pandemic, we're not 100% remote anymore. It's a lot of people have kind of gone into a hybrid structure. So how can you motivate and encourage those teams who are in a remote environment to also engage with those who are in a hybrid environment?
Yeah, I think it goes about communication and how you adjust your communication style. I think the most challenging thing is when you work remote with people you never had a chance to meet before in person.
Right.
Because you don't have the opportunity to create connection. And think about it, when you go in an office, you have plenty of opportunities to go for coffee, to chat in the corridors, to go for lunch, and when you are remote, it's just work, right? It's very like, okay, now we have a meeting. You need to create those opportunities. Sometimes it seems a little bit artificial.
Right.
But to connect, maybe it's a virtual kind of a team building activity or happy hour. And so you can actually start getting to know people as people, not as employees who do the work.
Right. Not just somebody who's on the other end of a screen, because that does make it challenging to connect. But if you can just dive in a little bit more and have those same talks that you would have in the office, at least in a remote environment, that definitely opens the door a little bit more.
Yeah. And if you have the ability to spend the money to actually bring people together for an offsite, I used to do that. Make sure that you focus on connection building, not about day-to-day work. One of my managers always told me, like, when you go to meet your team, I don't expect you to do any work. And it kind of feels weird, right? I mean, your employer pays for you and your team to travel. How come they don't expect you to do work? What he meant by that was, like, you're not supposed to do your day-to-day job. You're supposed to focus on building connections, to talk about strategy, to focus on things that are not the tactical day-to-day job.
Yeah, agreed. So if you have a remote team, what are some strategies that people can use to better communicate outside of just like doing an offsite? What are other ways that they can communicate and be effective?
A great way, for example, would be to work together on a side project. It can be hackathon or something out of the ordinary. And actually, DigitalOcean, I don't know if they still do it, but used to do several hackathons a year, company-wide, and people will just join different groups. I mean, people will come with ideas, and people. It wasn't just for people who wrote code. It could be anything, and it really connected people.
Interesting. Yeah, that sounds like a fun project. So for the audience members who don't know what it is, can you explain what a hackathon is?
Hackathon is just innovate. Usually it's related to innovation. You try to do something, to innovate, to bring a novel idea and implement something quickly to see, if you can create something new.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. Yeah. I love that because I think that actually works in every category.
Yeah.
Technology, even service-based businesses, there's always a way that you can improve. And so if there's, ideas that are coming that are people are generating, you just never know where those best ideas are going to come from. So I love the hackathon idea. So when people are building a personal brand, so I think that everybody should have their personal brand in addition to their company brand, because I think your personal brand tells people who you are, what you stand for, and kind of what to expect from you. So what are some suggestions you would give to people when they're building their own personal brand?
Yeah, first of all, I mean, I'm big fan of LinkedIn. So
Yeah.
in my world, LinkedIn is the place to be. And you
Hmm.
may be surprised, but some engineers who worked with me, in my team, didn't have a LinkedIn profile.
Really?
And I told them, you know what? If you don't have a profile, it's like you don't exist.
Yeah. Yeah. Really. Hmm.
So be present. Social media is not just like watching how people, I don't know, play with their pets or do stupid things, but it's also about building a brand. And depending on who you are, what business you're at, it may be different. LinkedIn may or may not be the right place for you. Maybe it's Instagram, TikTok, or something else. But build your brand on social media. Think about, if I'm talking about LinkedIn, for example, I always say to women I work, that work with me, if
Hmm.
someone lands on your profile in 6 seconds, they need to know who you are and what
Right.
value can you bring them, because
Yeah.
people don't spend a lot of time.
Mm-mm. No, I agree. I love LinkedIn for that because I think that the more value you can give to other people, the more they see you as somebody that is a resource for them. And that's how you want to set yourself up as a constant resource, and again, going back to the Facebook and every, when you're looking at Facebook, you see a lot of people who are on there complaining and venting and showing what they had for dinner, and to me that's just kind of garbage social media. But when you have people who are out there coming up with solutions and providing value, and just going back to the whole, are you a problem solver or are you a problem creator? Right. And so
Yeah,
nobody wants to be around a problem creator, they want to be around problem solvers, so that you can have the right energy into your life. And so if you're on LinkedIn and you are putting out insightful articles, or you're sharing really helpful information, or you're providing tips and tricks for people to, manage their own career and personal life, I think that there's a lot of value in that.
absolutely.
So, so when you're on LinkedIn, what do you look for in connecting? Do you connect with anybody or do you connect strategically? How do you connect with people?
To be honest, I mean, I connect. If people reach out to me, I
Mm-hmm.
usually connect with them. And I usually look to, I start with following, actually, not connecting directly. I
Okay.
start following people that are posting content that is relevant for me. One of
Mm-hmm.
the things is generative AI. I follow a lot of leaders in that space because I'm using AI myself, ChatGPT, among other tools. So I like to follow people who are innovative in this space. It
Mm-hmm.
could be other people that are posting articles or videos or whatever on
Mm-hmm.
topics that I'm passionate about leadership, about women in tech. And after I follow people, I may send them a connection request.
Mm-hmm. So do you find that, so for me, I'm more particular about connecting. So do you find that when you follow people, you get a better idea of who they are and what they stand for versus setting out a cold connection? Because if I don't know someone personally and it's somebody that I want to connect with, I do feel like I need to write them something, in the message. I don't want to send it cold. Do you typically introduce yourself or write a message to somebody, or do you cold connect?
I always, first of all, if I am sending a connection request, I'm always sending a personalized message,
Good.
always. I think the best strategy if you want to connect with people who don't know you is to follow them first, assuming they
Mm-hmm.
are somewhat active on LinkedIn, right? I mean, if
Yes.
they are not doing anything, it will be more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
commenting and connecting with them like on their content. So they start having you in their mindset as someone who appreciates what they're doing, adding maybe different perspectives to posts that they're making, and then you can send them a connection request with a message. Hey, I follow you. I love your content. I would love to connect. Maybe after they accept your connection, you can offer to meet for 10 or 15 minutes. But do that without any kind of agenda.
Yes.
The thing I hate the most, those are people that I will just block.
Yeah.
The ones that connect with me and immediately try to sell me something.
Oh my gosh. I agree. I can't stand that. That is one of my pet peeves. And a few times I've responded to them and I've said, do you think this is effective? Like a few times it has just really gotten under my skin because, they've sent me a connection request and then immediately I get an email that you can tell was already pre-written. It's not custom to me. They've done no research. They've not looked at my LinkedIn. They have no idea what I do. And they've sent me this generic form letter of a sales pitch immediately upon connecting. And it is one of my biggest pet peeves. Like if you're not going to take the time and effort to get to know me and how you might actually add value, please don't send me a generic message that just says, hey, would love to sit down for 15 minutes. But these are the ones that I can tell they've done no research on me. Like this is their lazy way of saying, I want to sell you something, but I'm going to pretend to be interested in you. Like I love your approach because your approach says, hey, I'm genuinely interested in your content. This resonates for me and I find value in it. Like that to me would speak volumes versus the standard letter that I get that you can tell they have no idea who I am and what I do and what value they might actually add. Like they've not, done any research whatsoever. So I think your strategy is right on.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm I'm a big fan of LinkedIn, but I'm careful about who I connect with for that reason, and also people see, oh, CEO of a company, I'm a good sales target. So I try to avoid that. So I connect with very few people on LinkedIn that I don't know unless I feel like they're adding value or they're doing something that's relevant. So you are an introvert. You had mentioned in a bio that I read that you are an introvert. Is that right?
That's true. I see myself, probably it's not like black and white, but I would say if you had a scale, introvert is on one side, extrovert, I am probably more towards the introvert side.
Okay. Yeah. So how do you feel about networking as an introvert? What tips can you give to other introverts when it comes to networking?
Yeah, it's hard. I always dreaded to go to large conferences, and I used to go, and I was at a conference just like a month ago. So I always dread it. Like you get to a room full of people, you don't know anyone, and how do you make the initial connection? First of all, it's a muscle to be trained, and I force myself to train that muscle. So I can go intentionally to a room and said, okay, I'm training that muscle right now, the same as I'm going to the gym, right? Sometimes it's hard, but I have to do it. But the good thing is that there are also opportunities to connect virtually that are less intimidating for introverts. During COVID, I started using a platform called Lunch Club.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And Lunch Club is a platform for connecting people. Think about it like speed dating, but for business purposes, right? People create a profile there. They have like AI technology that matches people based on interest and background. You create a profile and you say kind of what kind of people you're interested to meet. And they suggest people to you, depending on the frequency that you'd like to meet people, let's say once a week or every other week. And then you just meet someone for 45 minutes, one-on-one, virtually. Can be anywhere in the world. Or if you want, you can set a specific location that you want to meet people only in that location. And that's it.
Interesting. Yeah, I like that. So this is so you talk about using AI, and how are you incorporating AI into your business? Because that's been such a huge topic lately.
So first of all, I use ChatGPT for a lot of things,
Mm-hmm.
mostly for idea generation.
Mm.
Think about it. If I'm running a workshop, a lot of times it's like having a colleague that you can brainstorm ideas.
Yeah, yeah.
I also use Grammarly for several years, like at least 4 years now. Basically, everything I write go through Grammarly. I have the pro version, and they have now Grammarly Go that actually suggests rephrasing
Oh,
paragraphs.
yeah.
And for someone who is not a native English speaker like me, I consider myself pretty good at English, but
Yeah.
still, it's not my native language. So Grammarly is a lifesaver.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so Grammarly and ChatGPT.
Yeah, there are other tools. I mean, I also use like for my podcast, I use Clean Voice AI to clean the audio. It automatically clean the audio. I use Midjourney not frequently, but I use it, for example, to create a cover photo for my podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I use another tool called Fathom that is free for people who use the Zoom paid account. It automatically transcribe meetings for you, and I use it for my podcast as well. So every episode that I record, I add Fathom. Think about it as you add a participate, it records your session, and then you can extract the full transcript of the call.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Okay. I've not used any of those tools. Those sound really interesting. ChatGPT, I've been interested to try to figure out, but it just seems a little daunting to me still. So I have not gone down that path, but I think it could be a really good tool.
I cannot live without it. It's
Yeah.
addictive. So I warn you, it's
Yeah. Well, and you are the tech person, and I still struggle a little bit with technology. And so maybe I'll take baby steps into it, but I think the idea generation is something that could be really useful.
Yeah.
So tell me, who inspires you?
Mostly
Mhm.
people who succeeded with nothing to begin with.
Yes. Yeah, self-made.
One of my role models is actually not a woman, he's a man.
Mhm.
Sir Richard Branson.
Oh yeah.
The
Mhm.
reason I admire him so much, not just because he's so successful, created the Virgin Group and so many companies, because he's so nice.
Is
I
he?
actually, I actually saw him in person, not like one-on-one, but I saw him in a conference. He came on
Mhm.
stage. He's so nice.
Is he really? That's
Yeah,
amazing.
despite his success, he's approachable. If you Google him, you'll see he's making funny things, right? He's not afraid of making fun of himself. He dresses up
Yeah.
as women. Like he
Yeah.
did crazy stuff. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. He
I
he
really,
believes in having fun with life, for
yeah,
sure. For sure.
yeah, yeah. So he didn't lose the humility and the connection to
Mm-hmm.
everyone, no matter who they are. And that's what I so much look up to him.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I don't like is people that success causes them to think that they are like gods.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few of those too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there have been I can become very critical of other CEOs and founders when they've let their ego take over what is best for the business, because I think when you become a business owner, it's very similar to being a parent in that you have a duty to provide, an atmosphere that is conducive to allowing all of your employees to thrive, right? And when you are a CEO and you become super greedy when it comes to, you're taking yourself on these massive vacations and you're out there doing things that are jeopardizing the reputation of yourself and your company. I just think it's so irresponsible. And unfortunately, you see too many of these CEOs get rewarded with, contracts and
Yeah.
additional money and bonuses, and it's sickening. But I think, as a CEO, you have an obligation to your employees, as a parent has an obligation to their child to do what's best for them.
Yeah, and that's why we need more women in leadership.
Yes.
and in politics. Because
Yes.
women, it's generalizing,
Uh-huh.
but women bring less ego.
We bring less ego, and we think through how what we do impacts others. And I think that is a female characteristic that I believe is going to help in leadership so much, because I find that so many other leaders, they will think of what's best for me, and women think of what's best for everyone.
Exactly.
And so every time I hear people say, "Oh, let's do business like a man," I'm like, no, women are better innate leaders. We just have to do business like a woman. But it's better that that we're able to thrive in that environment. So but yeah, so that's, I agree that I love people who are self-made and who bring themselves up and do the right thing. So as women, we give our power away a lot. So we tend to give credit to other people, or allow other people to criticize or take our power away. We do that pretty frequently, and we don't stand up for ourselves. Can you tell me about a time that you gave your power away, and maybe another time that you stepped into your power?
Yeah. So I have 4 children, and after my first daughter was born, I was in a really tough position at work. So I was basically used for my manager's own motivations and aspirations. And he put me in a very tough spot, working with a very tough client, traveling every month from Israel to either US or the East. And
Wow.
when I have a baby at home, and he kind of forced me to do it. I mean, he didn't force me on the plane, but he made it look like I don't have any choice. I have to do it. It
Wow.
wasn't really my job, like my usual job. It didn't highlight my strength. And the manager above him also didn't support me. And I felt used. I felt confidently, like worthless. And it really hurt my family. Really brought a toll on my family. So that was a tough 6 months, I'll tell you that. And eventually I was able to get out of it, but it was really tough. I actually considered to leave that job, and eventually I decided to stay because I wanted to have another child. And I decided that having another child was more important to me at that point than leaving.
Yeah.
And I applied to be a manager when I was 8 months pregnant with my second child.
Wow.
And against all odds, I got a job. And that's how I started my management journey.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I love that you still had the confidence and you still knew you could do the job, even 8 months pregnant, because so many people say, women create their own issues. This is what I heard from a male CEO recently. Women create their own issues because, they want to stay home with children, and they pull themselves out of management positions. I'm like, that's not true at all. that's not actually true. A lot of times what will happen is we'll be judged based on, oh, well, they're 8 months pregnant, they might not be able to do the job, or they might decide to stay home, when really we're perfectly capable. Our mind works perfectly well. and we very well could be the very best person for the job. It's just a matter of somebody seeing past, what society deems are going to be things holding us back.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, my husband was the one who pushed me to apply.
Wow, that's great.
And also I had a sponsor. I mean, I had someone within the company who really advocated for me, which really helped. Yeah, but yes, a lot of times we create our own picture in our head of what is attainable for us, because I thought, oh, no one will take me, like, because I'm going to deliver a baby and going to be away for a few months. But, it did happen.
Wow, that's amazing. I love it. So, what advice would you give to your 18-year-old self?
Yeah. I think I would give the advice to think about my passions and basically identify that I'm good at more than one thing, because I thought that I'm only good at exact science, and it's not true.
Mm-hmm.
I have other values, and I think I could have chosen a different profession.
Yeah.
That would fit me better, even better. So I think I would say to my 18-year-old self, believe in yourself and try to appreciate your strength, and you have more than what you think.
Mm-hmm. And what advice would you give to people who are looking for a STEM career, who are looking to get started in technology?
First of all, don't be afraid.
Uh-huh.
Take a step forward. Find mentors. Find people who can help you and support you.
Mm-hmm.
And take baby steps and try it. See what you like. See what you don't like. But experiment with it, because one of the things that are holding us back is fear.
Mm-hmm.
And technology can be frightening, right? For someone who.
Well, it changes rapidly, and I think that's what we don't really. We feel like we can't keep up with it, right? But being on the cutting edge of innovation is exciting. It's exciting and scary at the same time.
That's true. It has a toll for sure. It has a toll because you have to be all the time up to date. And some people really enjoy it and some people less.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, there's so much room for people in STEM, no matter what your background is. I mean, in psychology, I have a psychology degree. Never in a million years would I have thought that psychology and, having a degree in psychology would help with technology, but there's AI that, you can actually, having a psychology degree might actually be a huge benefit in teaching AI how to think and or process. And then you have like there's online services for people to get therapy. I mean, there's so many different things now that I could never foresee 20 years ago. And so, just art and graphics. And I mean, if you are an artistic person, you're a great candidate for technology. You have that ability to see beyond, what is in front of you.
Absolutely. My daughter is actually an artist, and she started studying art. She's about to finish her first year.
Yeah.
In college. Yeah. I encourage my kids to follow their strength and their passions.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay. And then one last question for you. What do you wish more people knew?
About me or in general?
In general.
I wish more people knew how much more capable they are.
Yeah.
How much more strength they have.
Mm-hmm.
That how many more things they can do.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think we don't give ourselves enough credit, do we?
No, we don't.
Well, thank you so much, Limor. I've really enjoyed our conversation today. It has been very enlightening, and I have learned a lot. So I just wanted to thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Angela, for having me.
Absolutely. So you can find Limor Bergman Gross on our website at prettypowerfulpodcast.com. You can check out her LinkedIn and any posts. And then how else can they find you, Limor?
Usually I just direct people to LinkedIn because that's how they can get to know me a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. Well, I hope everyone has the most amazing day ever. And please check out our new episodes on prettypowerfulpodcast.com and everywhere podcasts are streamed. Thanks so much. Have an amazing day.
Thank you for joining our guests on the Pretty Powerful Podcast. And we hope you've gained new insight and learned from exceptional women. Remember to subscribe or check out this and all episodes on prettypowerfulpodcast.com. Visit us next time, and until then, step into your own power.